Well guys, it's been about 3 weeks now using the Moto G4 Plus as my daily driver, so I thought it's time to go ahead and review it. Now, just to give my overall thoughts before I go into more detail, I'm really impressed with this phone so far. For my uses, what I use a phone for, a $300 mid-range phone is perfectly fine, and this one in particular is very, very nice. So, anyway, let's obviously go into more detail on that. So, this is the $299 model, which gives you 4 gigs of RAM and 32 gigs of internal storage. Now, if you wanted to only spend $249, you could get the model that's got 2 gigs of RAM and 16 gigs of internal storage. I recommend going for this model though, because even though it does have a micro SD card slot, what you get with the bigger model is the double the RAM. So I would definitely recommend going for the $299 model if you can. I like the design of this phone too. It's very rounded, feels very nice in the hand. And by the way, I did set the white balance ahead of time for the screen to look nice, so that's why it looks a little weird right now. But yeah, so it's a nice rounded design. I do like that. Let's go over a little bit of what's on the front here. You've got a front-facing speaker, which also, of course, doubles as your earpiece. It sounds nice when you're playing music or whatever. It's nice having it on the front. It's got a 5 megapixel front camera. And the screen itself is a 5.5 inch 1080p IPS display, which is technically a downgrade from what I had. I had a 1440p screen before this. But you know what? I guess maybe it's just because I didn't take advantage of it, but I do not really tell a difference with this. In fact, it almost looks better in some situations, so I'm really impressed with the screen. And I've heard other reviewers say that as well, that it looks better than it really is. So, yep. Also got I've also got a tempered glass screen protector on here, by the way, if you notice that. But it's also got a fingerprint sensor on the front, which is not a home button. I know a lot of people are wanting it to be, and if you're coming from like a Samsung device, you probably will try to push out like a home button a couple times. But for me at least, my LG G4 does not have a physical home button, so I'm kind of used to the on-screen one already. But I mean, I guess if I were to be nitpicky, I would say that should be a home button, but you know what, it's no big deal. Let me just show you guys the accuracy of this too. It seems to be pretty accurate and pretty fast. You know, 1 out of 100 times it may not register, but that's about it. It registers pretty well otherwise. So. That was my battery life going below 15%, but I'll touch more on that later. But yeah, so you can see it's pretty fast and accurate, so that's cool. Right here you got the 12 megapixel, or the 12 or 16 megapixel. I'm having a brain freeze right now, but I'll put in an annotation. But anyway, yeah, so it's one or the other, but it looks really nice. You're looking at some examples of pictures right now. As you can see, it's not the best in low light situations, but for a $300 camera, or $300 phone, I guess, it's actually really nice for what it is. I don't use my phone for every single picture I take. I do have a DSLR, so, but for what it is, it's really nice, like I said, given the price range. I've also got I've got a nice clear case on here, so I can see the Motorola dimple there, which is kind of a icon on Motorola phones, it seems like. On the top here, you got a headphone jack. And on the bottom, you got a micro USB port, which a lot of people are complaining that that's not Type-C. For me, at least, I would rather have the convenience of using my old phone chargers if I need to, or borrowing family members' phone chargers, like if I'm on vacation or something. So, I don't know. I guess I'm just waiting, because even flip phones use micro USB, so I guess I'm just waiting for Type-C to become standard before I'm going to consider that a necessity. It also supports TurboCharging, which is really nice. Unfortunately, the charger that came with it, the turbocharger that came with it, died on me about a week afterwards. It would not only stop turbocharging, but it would get to where even regular charging was extremely slow. So that's kind of a shame that happened, but luckily their customer support is pretty good and they sent me a new one, no problem. So yeah. Now let's see what we got next. Oh yeah, well of course one of the main features of this phone, and the main reason I bought it, was that it is unlocked, meaning you can buy it for $300 or $249, I guess, out the door, end of story, no carrier contract needed. And that, I know a lot of people have gotten, it's gotten to where a lot of people take that for granted, and that's really nice. I'm glad to see unlocked phones becoming more popular. But if you're like me and have been using unlocked phones, been using contract phones your whole life, the convenience of being able to know that you own this phone and that you can get a new one whenever you want to, based on when you want to, not when they want you to, that is a really nice feeling, and I do really, really enjoy that. I definitely am going to go unlocked from now on. In fact, I would go as far as saying that there really is not much of a reason to get a flagship phone anymore, at least on Android, because the mid-range phones are just that good, honestly. Now, cell phone service is actually pretty good on this phone as well. I'm on Sprint, and other than having a few hiccups and trying to get it activated, because for whatever reason Sprint is really picky about their SIM cards, but other than that, cell phone service has actually been really good. In fact, I'd almost say it's better than the LG G4, so that's really, really good to see that. Oh, and I also forgot to mention, the back is removable, and you can put dual SIMs in here, which is nice, and micro SD card, so for expandable storage, so that is really nice. The battery itself is not removable, unfortunately, but I'm sure if you went online, you could probably find a guide on how to do it, and it's probably not that hard if you really needed to. But yep, so okay, so let's get more into the software end, shall we? As I mentioned, the fingerprint reader means you can bypass the entire lock screen, which is really nice. Let me zoom in a little bit so this looks better. So as you can see, I've got a Christmas countdown widget there. And yep, so this does run stock Android 6.0 Marshmallow, which is really, really nice. I am a huge fan of stock Android. So, and the only things that they added, there was an app when I got this, it came with an app called Moto, which basically all that does is give you certain gestures. Like, for example, if you twist the camera like that, it'll turn on the flashlight. Twist the phone, sorry, it'll turn on the flashlight. Stuff like that. And it also added a always on display, which you've seen on other phones, specifically Samsung. Basically, all that does is that when you pick it up like this, it'll briefly show you the time and minimal notifications. I disabled that, as you can see. I really don't care for that. It got kind of annoying, actually, because it was really sensitive. But you know what? It's definitely useful. I'm glad that what they did add to Android was good rather than bloaty. So, no, that sounds gross, bloaty. But anyway, yeah. So I did disable the Moto app, as you can see. But again, it's not like it gets in the way or anything usually. So, but it does run stock Android otherwise. What's kind of interesting is that I went to, because I noticed there was no file manager included, so I went to the Google Play Store and looked it up, and I found that app there, File Manager. Now, what's interesting about that is that rather than giving me the option to install it, it gave me the option to enable it as if it was already on the phone. So I don't know if that's the only app like that. Like maybe they included more apps than just the Moto and they just disabled them by default. But if that's the case, then that's really good on their part that they went that extra step to make sure it was as minimal as possible. So good on you, Motorola, for being minimalist in your Android version. And yeah, it's, for all intents and purposes, basically stock Android. So that's really nice to see. So just to give you guys an idea of kind of what I use my phone for, let me just give you kind of a what's on my Android kind of thing. I've got, so you see some games on here. I've got Amazon Music, Asphalt, which I put on there just to show off the gaming performance later. Chrome, all the Google stuff, obviously. eBay, Facebook. Frontier, that's for my DVR. Some emulators on here, which work pretty well, as you could expect from an Android device. Need for Speed, which I also use to test gaming. Weather Underground, Wells Fargo. So yeah, just basic apps on here. See, as you can see, I'm not a heavy phone user. So anyway, that just gives you kind of an idea of what I use my phone for. So speaking of Asphalt, let's go ahead and show that off. Now, I'm not going to go into detail of like, okay, this is this video, this is this song. I'm not going to go into detail of all that because I'm not really the type of guy to do that. But I will show you what the gaming is like, and for one particular reason, which I'll get into as I show it off. Now, when this phone first came out, back in May, I think. Let's see. I'm on airplane mode right now, so I wonder if it'll still let me play. Yep, it will. But anyway, yeah, I just didn't want to get any notifications while making this video. But yeah, when this phone first came out, I think back in May, it had a little problem with it, which is that it would overheat and throttle as a result. Now, they have mostly fixed this issue. It still gets a little hot because that's mainly hardware issue, and a hardware issue, but I don't find it getting hot as nearly as much as it did back then, and plus, it does not throttle anymore either, so that issue's been mostly fixed. And I think when the Nougat update comes out, which more on that later, I'm kind of upset about that, but anyway, when the Nougat update does come out, it will fix the issues even more. So, anyway, for now, I just thought I'd go and give you guys a quick gaming test. No, I didn't mean to do that. Just gonna turn the volume up a little bit. Okay, there we go. It's a pretty fun game, I guess. I'm not a huge phone gamer, but I do have a 3DS that I play more often. But yeah, it's a decent gaming device, I guess. Especially for its price. Now, if you want more detailed specs of like what the processor's like and all that, in the description I put a full list of specs. But yeah, it's a pretty good gaming device, I guess you could say. Yep, so once again, the throttling issues are pretty much non-existent. Heating does happen sometimes, but that's to be expected, I guess, of the 812, the Snapdragon 812 processor as opposed to the 820 like most cell phones use. But again, you gotta cut costs some areas, and in my opinion, this is a fine area to cut. And I'm doing horribly right now, I understand that, but I'm trying to concentrate at the same time, and I just wanted to give you guys an idea of how it looks. Yeah, so as you can see, it runs pretty decently. Let's get out of here. Yeah, it runs pretty decently. I didn't really play it long enough for it to get hot, but again, I can assure you guys it does not throttle nearly as bad as it used to. Okay, so yeah, there's that. Let's show that off to you guys. Now, finally, for this review, let's go into the settings, and I got a few other things to show off real quick. Yep, so first off, I'm sure you guys are curious about battery life, and I've kind of been holding that off. Battery life seems to be pretty good. I haven't tested it with like, okay, let's leave it looping with a game, let's leave it looping with music. I haven't done any of that. I've just been using it regular, my daily uses, so I haven't really done any kind of professional test or anything. But in my uses, it is pretty decent battery life. It's a 5,000 milliamp battery, which is what I had before. The same batteries I had before, and it seems to get about the same amount of battery life. I would say may add maybe a bit more. So it's nothing to run home about, but at the same time, it's not bad either. It's actually really decent. So as you can see, I put the phone, I took it off the charger at 12 a.m. yesterday, or 12 p.m., sorry, yesterday, and it's been running ever since then, and it's now 11%. You can see that what's been draining the battery. It doesn't have the best standby, I will admit. Like, I think when I put the phone on the charger, when I turned it off last night, it was at like, or I didn't actually turn it off, I just put it to sleep, but I think it was on like 50% maybe? And when I woke up, it was like 25%. So not the best standby, but it's definitely an okay battery life overall, and obviously you've got the turbocharger as well to help with that. So, yep, I'd say it's definitely a decent battery considering what the price point. And last thing I wanted to show off, and one major complaint I do have about this phone, I don't have much to say in terms of bad on this phone, honestly, because honestly it does everything I need it to do. It's been good for my needs. Now, is it a perfect phone? No, but like I said, standby on the battery could be better, it could be less hot, etc. But for what I use it for, and what I'm sure most people at this price point would use it for, it's actually very decent. So very good phone. But one complaint I do have though is, if you notice, it runs Android 6.0.1. That is Marshmallow. Now, back in late October, early November, somewhere around there, Motorola now they're now Lenovo, but they're still called Motorola. But Motorola/Lenovo announced that it would be upgraded to Nougat version 7. It still has not received the update yet. You can see if you go to System Updates. Oh, never mind. It's not going to do it because I'm in airplane mode. But yeah, there's no updates available. Why do you take so long? I mean, Motorola was always known, because it's basically just stock Android, as you know. It's very minimal stuff added to it. So why are you taking so long to release the update? It's technically available. You can download it if you want to and flash it to your phone, but I'm kind of wary of doing that for obvious reasons. But yeah, I don't know what is taking you guys so long to release this update. I mean, Nougat came out officially back in October, so I don't know what is taking them so long. And to be honest with you guys, it really ticks me off. I mean, I expected better of you guys, Motorola. But I guess other than that, though, I am been impressed with this phone so far, and I would recommend it if you're in the market for a mid-range smartphone, or maybe you're like me and you want to get out of your carrier contract. This is a perfect option for you. So yeah, I hope this helped, guys. I hope I covered everything. If there's anything else, any other questions you guys have on it, feel free to ask me in the comments. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed, and see you guys next time. Bye.